Hey gang, I can't believe it's already been 5 long years since I started making Sudrian Conflict. It's also been more than a year since I finished it, but whatever. I thought to celebrate this very special anniversary I would make a little video explaining some of the behind the scenes, Easter eggs, and all the hidden stuff I couldn't talk about before the series concluded. Number 1. Color Symbolism. I got really interested in color symbolism after watching shows like Breaking Bad. Each major character in Sudrian Conflict has their own unique color associated with them. Phil's color is dark blue. Dark blue has been a color used throughout the series to signify that a character is untrustworthy. This takes a page from the color symbolism used in the original Star Wars trilogy, with Luke's outfit progressively becoming darker, only to reveal white underneath. Phil wears dark blue on the outside during the earlier seasons, as we as an audience are not sure if he can be trusted. After he proves himself to be trustworthy across the events of the original series, he eventually transitions to a cream-colored outer jacket with a dark blue shirt underneath, symbolizing his corruption. Michelle's color is obviously green. Everything Michelle owns is green. Green is a color associated with renewal, energy, and nature, reflecting the way Phil views her upon arriving on Sodor. Green can also represent envy and greed, implying Michelle's underlying desire to not only infiltrate Sodor, but overtake it from Phil. Michelle falls in love with Sodor and believes she's fallen in love with Phil. Phil falls in love with himself and believes he's in love with Michelle. Early on, Phil subconsciously surrounds himself with the color green. The majority of his engines are green, and he constantly pairs the color dark blue with green using his own possessions, including the colors of his office interior. Michelle's outfits gradually transition from bright green to dark pine green over the course of the series to symbolize her descent into corruption. Robert's color is light blue. His possessions frequently reflect this color, including Diesel 7101. Robert always wears a white shirt underneath his other clothing, suggesting that he maintains his purity across the entire series. Even after he begins working for Phil, unintentionally benefiting an evil organization, his shirt reflects white underneath all the black. Many other characters receive color symbolism as well. An easy way to know if a character is good or evil is to simply pay attention to the innermost color of their clothing. The inner layer reflects their true nature. The outer layer reflects the way they are perceived by others. I'm not making this up, I really thought this through. Beyond clothing, some other obvious examples of color symbolism are those such as the brightly colored orange diner scene in Chilling Point, intruded upon by a young Simon dressed in deep blues. Number 2. Easter eggs. Many inside jokes and hints at upcoming story elements were included throughout the series. A particularly subtle one appears in The Conflict Begins, wherein the date of the real-life Rudolph Diesel's death appears written on the floor of the steamworks. The same date appears in the background of multiple episodes to foreshadow the identity of Mr. M. By the way, M was supposed to stand for modernization, but I was too stupid to ever get around to explaining that. A red crate reading Number 1 appears alongside Ryan very frequently to foreshadow Thomas's death in the finale and insistence that Ryan take on his number. Mason the cultist's full name being revealed to be Mason Applewhite is a reference to Marshall Applewhite, a real-life cult leader who led a mass suicide in 1997. Before the suicide, members of the group ate a specific meal.
Turkey pot pie, cheesecake with blueberries and iced tea.
The appearance of Sodoramus, the ancient prophesying astrologist seen in the finale, was sprinkled all throughout the 4th season in the form of paintings and brief on-screen imagery. His entire scene was originally intended to play before the beginning of Lineage, but I later decided it would be more cinematic to delay the reveal as long as possible. Sodoramus is the most important character in the story overall, and his backstory is possibly my proudest element of the series. Real-life counterpart to Sodoramus, Nostradamus, was referenced in the Series 3 finale by Mason while being drug away by the police.
He will enter Europe wearing a blue turban. He will be the terror of all mankind. Never more horror!
Take him away.
He directly quotes a prediction made by Nostradamus in real life, which is echoed at the end of the series finale as having come to pass. Fun fact, Conflict in the Shed is my least favorite episode as I deem it to be filler. It was only created so there could be an even 10-10 split for Season 4.
We Tender Engines must show the world that we will not, nor will we ever, deal with the horrendous degradation of...
Number 3. Recurring themes. The most overlying theme of the entire series is that history repeats. Certain specific events, dates, and locations recur so often that it seems nearly cosmically intentional. The date of May 1st, Sodor Day, always encompasses a significant event in the story. The other central-most theme is that power corrupts. The entire story of the first 2 seasons hinges on a small handful of bad decisions made by Sir Topham Hatt that cause the rest of the events to unfold. We witness the rise of Bertram Hatt via flashbacks, as he establishes himself as the new director of the railway in William Meisner's absence. By the end of Best Laid Schemes, Bertram is comfortably a part of the bourgeoisie of controllers from other railways. This is mirrored later on as Phil makes the same transition into superstardom among the immoral, super-wealthy elite. Number 4. Mythology. The early seasons of Sudrian Conflict were shaky and inconsistent with their world building. A lot of story elements were either toned down or retroactively changed. One example is the presence of supernatural elements, which mostly manifested themselves as the ghost of Proteus and the potential validity of the cultists' fabled Dark One. Proteus was originally just a reference to enterprising engines. But as the storyline of the cultists began to develop for Season 3, I decided that his existence as a self-fulfilling prophecy not only complemented the reference further, but made perfect narrative sense. Later on, I toned down the supernatural elements as they didn't pertain to the message of the show, and they didn't particularly interest me anymore. My second major failure with the mythology of the series is the logic of engines having faces. As revealed in the finale, my explanation of why Sodor is the only place engines have faces, a rule Audrey himself created and proceeded to break, is that Sodor was cursed hundreds of years in the past with the intention of preventing a devastating war from taking place. This could be considered another self-fulfilling prophecy, as that curse directly caused that very war to happen. Regardless, there were several times earlier on in the series that engines were seen with faces outside of Sodor. My explanation for this is that engines gain faces when they visit Sodor and retain them afterwards. I spent many post-credit scenes coming up with contrived reasons that engines such as the logging locos would have been to Sodor prior to their appearance in the show proper. Did anyone even notice? Probably not, but it was important to me. In conclusion, Sudrian Conflict was the most ambitious project I've ever completed. It took nearly 4 years, and despite a lot of internal inconsistencies and a tremendous change in quality of presentation midway through, I feel that the majority of the series still holds up. I learned a lot about filmmaking from creating it, and although it's not the kind of show I would want to make now, it's a crucial part of the story of my YouTube channel, and I wouldn't be who I am today had I not made it. So for all those who watched the whole show through, I am so sorry you had to do that, and thank you.